Globally, since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, all of us have had to adapt to a new way of life that include lockdowns, new safety precautions, and even virtual schooling. So how, in an education system built around learning from each other and socializing with teachers and peers, did we manage to cope?
When the pandemic started, I was halfway in my junior year, and it lasted through the rest of my high school until now. I never went back to full in-person learning throughout my senior year. I was all completely online through Zoom.
I was there when we got kicked out, and I was in an advanced painting course and behind the scenes at the museum. So I have had experience doing studio work and studio adjacent work at home remotely. Behind the scenes of the museum was the hardest to do over Zoom. Final project was a group exhibition show that was supposed to go up, like we were supposed to nail it up on the wall ourselves and to curate it ourselves. And for obvious reasons that could not happen.
And then my senior year, I took AP Studio Art with a focus on photography. And I think my photography class was definitely the most difficult because it was the first AP art class I had taken, and I had to completely do my portfolio at home with only the guidance from my teacher on Zoom.
At the start of the pandemic, I was actually still in grad school, so I was down in Orlando, Florida at University of Central Florida in basically March of 2020 is what I remember the most. So I remember that spring we were going over the shoulder unit, and for a lot of people in grad school, the shoulder is probably one of the hardest joints to kind of really learn about. And we would kind of go over them on Zoom, and my professors were awesome and all this stuff. But then I would go and have to practice on my parents.
It wasn't just the students being impacted. Even teachers felt the weight of this new reality.
Decided to go asynchronous for a variety of reasons. For one thing, none of us had really even heard of Zoom a couple weeks before all this happened. So we had a little bit of training, but very minimal training, and it was a very new thing. I had never taught an online class in my life or been in one as a student, so just the whole online class experience was very different for me. Also that semester I probably had my highest percentage of international students, and so a lot of them were in India, Nepal, and Vietnam, and other countries around the world. So for them, classes would have been at 2 a.m. So
I had a class where I had only 2 students. It was an upper level class, and 1 student was in person and 1 was online. And the student that was online was in Louisiana, different time zone, and not the best internet connection. So she would go in and out. And so that was a little bit challenging.
Because students come to Hollins for a certain type of experience, right? Like small classes and getting to know their teachers really well and everything. So I was really worried about students feeling like they weren't getting the Hollins experience. I think that they did the best they could in building relationships, at least with their professors. I'm sure it was really hard to maintain those relationships with their friends and everything when they're at home.
If I look at somebody and I see their, from the look on their face, or their body language, that they're frustrated, that they're stuck, right? And then I can go and help them with that. I didn't get those kinds of cues via Zoom.
Though people still choose light over darkness, anticipating a new chapter in world history and the resolve to adapt, just as we've always done.
Nice to know that I can work at home and under different circumstances. That's not purely university.
Maybe one of the good pieces of this was it forced me to do check-ins in a way that I don't always do.
I've given some presentations, not outside of the Hollins community with the public and stuff through Zoom. So that's obviously, I'm much more comfortable doing that than I would have been 3 years ago, say, or whatever. So there's definitely been some good things with it.
So I think getting the opportunity to kind of go home and be with my parents during that time was actually really nice. So blessing in disguise. And at least the first month was nice. And then I was like, okay, I'm ready to go back to Florida. So